And we are live, and welcome everyone to the second annual Robbie1Kenobi Pro Wrestling Year-End Awards. Of course, this is the award show where I look back at the best of the best in professional wrestling in the year 2016 from WWE, NXT, and Lucha Underground. This year, I'm doing the format. It's going to have a different format this time. If you guys recall the last time when I did the award show, and I did it last year for the very first time, I only gave out an award, one award per category. This year, after being influenced by a good friend of mine on here, We Are Pro Wrestling, aka WAPW, I've decided that I will be giving out awards based on promotion. So each category, a majority of the categories are going to have 3 winners. One from WWE, one from Lucha Underground, and one from NXT. So same format as last time, except like I said, this time I'm going to be giving out awards, multiple awards in categories, one for each promotion. Now, for some of you that may have seen the last live stream I did, you may be asking yourselves, Rob, didn't you just do the Robbie1Kenobi Awards on Monday? Yes, I did. However, due to a technical difficulty, I was unable to give out awards for the WWE and NXT Wrestlers of the Year. I don't know what happened. The stream was going fine. I may have stammered my words here and there. I may have gone off course for a little bit. I may have even, we may have even had the awkward silence when I needed to catch my breath or, get something to eat or swig of water or whatever. But the big flaw I noticed was when I finished filming, I didn't remember any mentioning of WWE Wrestler of the Year or NXT Wrestler of the Year. So what I decided to do was, after debating about this for a little while, I decided I would just come back on here, reshoot the entire video, and include WWE and NXT Wrestlers of the Year. I might even include one extra award. If you saw Monday's show, you know the awards I gave out. They're pretty much going to stay the same. But if you're new to this channel and you're new to this video, please make yourself comfortable, grab a snack, grab something to drink, kick back and enjoy. Since I went through a lot of these awards, pretty much every award on Monday, I'm not going to waste too much time talking about why I gave this person, that person, this match, that match the award. So I'm going to try and keep this under 2 hours. And yeah, for those who are watching, even if you did watch last time, of course, you are welcome. Leave your comments in the chat box to the side, and I'll be checking throughout the stream. So without any further ado, guys, let's get down to business with the 2016 Robbie1Kenobi Pro Wrestling Year-End Awards. Take 2, part duh, whatever you want to call it. Before, real quick, I want to give a shout out to my good friend DZZTV, who was responsible for creating the custom Robbie1Kenobi awards and the logo. So, real quick, I just want to show you guys what they look like. And there it is, the Robbie1Kenobi awards. Thank you very much, Zach, for customizing the award / logo. That's what this year's winners will be receiving. That's pretty much what future years winners will be receiving. So thank you very much, Zach. Very simple but very creative and effective. I really appreciate the artwork, bro. And without any further ado, let's get down to some awards. So like I said, I'm going to really try and keep this under 2 hours. So yeah, let's get right down to it, guys. So let's start off with the Breakout Star of the Year. For WWE, the award goes to the current Smackdown Women's Champion, Alexa Bliss. I was surprised when Alexa Bliss got called up to the main roster during the draft back in the summer, because I thought she was going to stay on NXT for maybe one more year and be bred as an NXT Women's Champion. She was doing some great stuff as a heel. I feel like as a face, she was just another beautiful face to look at. She had a very, positive personality. She was the Princess of Sparkle. But when she became a heel, she had more of a personality. She was getting more things done in the ring, and I believe people are starting to take her a little more serious. And she did, like I said, some really good heel work on NXT. Had a couple real good matches with Bayley, including one for the NXT Women's Championship. And then when she got called up, I feel like she just took the ball and ran with it in the SmackDown Women's division. Had some good solid matches with Becky Lynch and Naomi, and of course You know, she beat Becky Lynch at TLC in a tables match to become SmackDown Women's Champion. I love how Alexa Bliss has taken on this Harley Quinn / Wicked Witch of the West gimmick with some of her, you know, her lines, and, you know, wearing the Harley Quinn, her hair in the Harley Quinn pigtails, and the shirt even looks like Suicide Squad that just came out in the WWE shop. So Alexa Bliss has really done some good this year. I feel like of all the new stars that came to WWE, excluding AJ Styles, who was already established and you knew he was going to be a big name when he came to the company, even though there was some concern. I feel like of all the young, fresh talent that got to the main roster this year, Alexa Bliss has really stood out the most to me. You know, she's ending the year as SmackDown Women's Champion. I think, you know, her future is bright. I think she'll be a great women's wrestler for years to come. I feel like we have yet to see the best of her, but this was definitely a breakout year for her and a standout year for her. So congratulations, Alexa Bliss, on winning the WWE Breakout Star of the Year award. Moving on to NXT, the award goes to the glorious one, Bobby Roode. Yes, Bobby Roode wasn't in TNA. You know, he made a name for himself in TNA, but I really feel like NXT made him more significant, more valuable, I guess I could say, in NXT than they did in TNA. You know, Bobby Roode, he had his debut. He came, you know, he said he came to make NXT glorious again, and you know, he's so over with the crowd. He has one of the best, if not the best, theme song of 2016. Bobby Roode is just, you know, he's over like $1 billion bucks in NXT, and he is the #1 contender for the NXT Championship, which means he will fight Shinsuke Nakamura at NXT TakeOver San Antonio Royal Rumble weekend. That should be an insane match. I'm so looking forward to it. In just a short amount of time, Bobby Roode has done some big things in NXT, so the future is definitely looking bright. And may I say, glorious for Bobby Roode, and that's why he receives a Robbie1Kenobi award for NXT Breakout Star of the Year. And lastly, from Lucha Underground, the award goes to El Dragon Azteca Jr. You know, Lucha Underground had a lot of new faces this year in Season 2 and some recently in Season 3. And to me, it was a testament of just how recognized Lucha Underground is starting to become. You know, lots of great talent came and just really powered Lucha Underground this year. You know, some of you may say Taya is deserving of the Breakout Star of the Year award, and she, for the first time, you know, as a fan, for the first time seeing her, she did some big things, you know. But the reason I pick up Dragon Azteca Jr. is simply because he made me a fan from day one. You know, I'd never heard of this guy. Taya I had heard of a little bit. Other guys like Jack Evans and PJ Black, who showed up. Well, Jack Evans showed up in Season 1, but like, you know, PJ Black, who showed up in Season 2, I knew about him, of course, from his days in WWE, and so forth. You know, and some of you might even say Matanza is deserving of Breakout Star of the Year. But why I went with El Dragon Azteca Jr. simply because, like I said, he made me a fan since day one. He is, you know, he's very agile. He's very athletic. He's like a new Rey Mysterio in a sense with the moves he does. I mean, especially that spinning, that tilt-a-whirl spinning tornado DDT he does. That spike DDT is so freaking sick. You know, he came in, made a splash in Aztec Warfare 2, joined forces with Rey Mysterio Jr. and Prince Puma to form the Lucha Trinity. They won the Trios Championships. You know, Dragon Azteca Jr. having some really good to great matches, a hell of a match with Prince Puma, and I feel like he's really a star to watch, and I feel like his future is bright as well. And, you know, again, like with Alexa Bliss, I feel like we've yet to see the best of El Dragon Azteca Jr., but I feel like with his talent, with his athleticism, agile, agility and whatnot, you know, his excitement that he brings, I feel like he can be a Lucha Underground champion. I feel like he'll be around with Lucha Underground for years to come, and I feel like he did make a splash this year in Lucha Underground in terms of Breakout Star of the Year. You could argue that Taya deserves Breakout Star of the Year or Matanza, but for me, I had to go with El Dragon Azteca Jr. because I never heard of the guy, never saw the guy until Aztec Warfare 2, and from the start, the guy just made me a fan. He's freaking awesome, and I feel like the best has yet to come for him. So congratulations to Dragon Azteca Jr. on winning Breakout Star of the Year for Lucha Underground. Moving on now, we go to the Newcomer of the Year award. And for WWE, guys, no contest. For WWE Newcomer of the Year, AJ Styles. What a phenomenal, yes, pun intended, phenomenal year AJ Styles had this year. I mean, one of the best, if not the best debut in Royal Rumble history. Comes out number 3 in the match to a massive pop from the crowd. Lasts about 30 minutes in the match, and then goes on to have great matches with Chris Jericho on pay-per-view, you know, Fastlane and WrestleMania 32. Wins a Fatal 4-Way the night after WrestleMania to become #1 contender for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Faces off with Roman Reigns in a really good match at Payback, and then an awesome Extreme Rules match at Extreme Rules. Then, of course, goes on the feud with John Cena. Beats John Cena not once, but twice. And then, even though the year was far from done in September, beat Dean Ambrose to win the WWE Championship. And to me, right there, that was the victory that solidified him as the Wrestler of the Year for everything that he did. And then, well, spoiler alert for who the WWE Wrestler of the Year is. But anyway, you know, for me, when he won the championship, that pretty much solidified any award regarding a newcomer or best wrestler or whatever, you know. So, and then, I mean, think about it. After that, he beat Ambrose and Cena in a triple threat match at No Mercy, which I personally was in attendance for, which I thought was awesome. Beat Dean Ambrose again in a TLC match at TLC to retain the WWE Championship. And then on this past Tuesday's edition of SmackDown Live, he ends 2016 as the WWE Champion, retaining his championship in an awesome triple threat match against Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler. So, undoubtedly the best year for any newcomer in the WWE since Brock Lesnar, I have to say. And, I mean, there's no other argument that the newcomer of the year for WWE is AJ Styles. So, congratulations, AJ, on winning a #Robbie1 award for WWE Newcomer of the Year. And guys, real quick, if you want to tweet me with any of your awards or questions or comments, you can tweet me at Robbie1Kenobi. Use the #Robbie1Award like it is spelled out here in the title of the video. Moving on to NXT Newcomer of the Year, another no contest. The award goes to Shinsuke Nakamura, a freaking rock star in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and even bigger rock star when he came to NXT. You know, the crowd was buzzing for his debut when he appeared on NXT via that video message where he challenged Sami Zayn to a match at Takeover Dallas. And then, of course, when he arrived at Takeover Dallas, his entrance was freaking epic. The crowd was chanting, holy shit, and he hadn't even freaking done any moves in the match. You know, the match hadn't even started. Nakamura had just made his entrance, and then from there, Nakamura, I feel like that entrance ultimately made him a rock star in NXT. He was over from the moment that that entrance began. And then, of course, beat Sami Zayn in that classic at Takeover Dallas. Beat Austin Aries in what I feel like is going to be a Takeover hidden gem in a few years at Takeover the End. Of course, great feud with Samoa Joe. Beat Joe for the championship at NXT Takeover Brooklyn. Lost the title to Joe, surprisingly, at NXT Takeover Toronto, but then, of course, won it back 2 weeks later at NXT not at Takeover Special, but at NXT Osaka in Japan. And then, of course, finished the feud with Joe in the steel cage match in Melbourne, Australia, which I would have preferred that their final match be at Takeover San Antonio during Royal Rumble weekend. But Joe's most likely getting called up to the main roster during that time, so I understand why we're moving on to Bobby Roode. No problem, of course, with Roode as #1 contender, but as you can see, standout first year in NXT for Shinsuke Nakamura. Like I said, freaking rock star in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and then more of a rock star in NXT. And his entrance alone told you that this guy is going to be something special. And he pretty much was something special when he made that entrance. And he hadn't even gotten into the ring, remember, guys. And he was already like over as $1 million bucks, and he already was rock star. So congratulations to Shinsuke Nakamura for winning NXT Newcomer of the Year. And lastly, for Lucha Underground, the Newcomer of the Year award goes to Matanza. Made quite an impact in his Lucha Underground debut at Aztec Warfare 2. Destroyed everybody who was in the ring practically in Aztec Warfare 2, including Phoenix, the Mac, Chavo Guerrero Jr., Prince Puma, a former Lucha Underground champion himself, Dragon Azteca Jr., and ultimately Rey Mysterio Jr. to win the Lucha Underground Championship. And then from there, he destroyed whoever and whatever got in his way. He just ran through everybody, whether it was Cage, Pentagon Jr. / Pentagon Dark, you know, Mil Muertes in graver consequences, Phoenix, you know, Prince Puma. Matanza just destroyed everybody. You know, he steamrolled through everybody that got in his way, and he ended season 2 of Lucha Underground as the Lucha Underground champion. Then going into season 3, they do Dario's Dial of Doom. He beats, you know, Prince Puma. Well, that was a really close match. Puma was, of course, the closest to beat him, but of course it ended in a DQ, I believe, or something. But Matanza still retained the championship. Destroyed Ricky Reyes. He beat Son of Havoc, and then he ultimately lost. You know, he entered Aztec Warfare 3 as champion. He entered number 1. He lasted pretty long, and then he lost to Rey Mysterio Jr. And that's only the first loss. Like, even though it's a multi-man match, that was the very first time Matanza was pinned. But still, when you look at it, Matanza had just a destructive year in Lucha Underground, just destroyed everyone that got in his way, and undoubtedly made an impact as the newcomer of the year. And I personally know the guy that works as Matanza in Lucha Underground. I've seen him wrestle here in the Bay Area. Great independent talent, and I think his performance as Matanza is a testament to how great he is as a young rising independent star, and eventually he deserves a crack at NXT and eventually WWE. So yeah, congratulations to all the winners of the Newcomer of the Year, the Robbie1Kenobi Newcomer of the Year awards. So moving on to Tag Team of the Year, or in the case of Lucha Underground, when we get to them, Trio of the Year. Let's start off with WWE, and the Tag Team of the Year is, of course, the New Day. You know, they kicked off 2016 as Tag Team Champions, and they aren't closing the 2016 as Tag Team Champions, but they ultimately broke Demolition's record for longest reigning Tag Team Champions. Say what you will about why they broke it, but they did. You know, entertaining trio on the mic, entertaining trio in the ring, beat all comers, from the Usos to the League of Nations to the Vaudevillains to, you know, Gallows and Anderson, to Cesaro and Sheamus. They pretty much beat every team that faced them, that came their way in 2016. And then, of course, they lost the titles at Roadblock. Roadblock ended the line to Cesaro and Sheamus, but still, New Day, you know, they had a dominant run as Tag Team Champions. They coined the phrase Bootios, that ultimately became a t-shirt and a cereal. So, I mean, just to throw that in for like bonus brownie points. Yeah, it was a definite year of positivity for New Day, a positive year for the New Day, however you want to phrase it. Yeah, I mean, can't think of any other team on the main roster that was as dominant as New Day. You know, like I said, say what you will about why they actually broke Demolition's record as longest reigning Tag Team Champions, but they did, and that's why they are the WWE Tag Team of the Year. For NXT, the award goes to the Revival, and if I had to pick between New Day and Revival, which team I felt was the true Tag Team of the Year, I would go with the Revival. I feel like they really embodied what great tag team wrestling is all about, with their old school, you know, mentality, how they're like a new school brainbusters. The Revival is just great. You know, had great tag team championship matches throughout the year on NXT. A hell of an opening match with American Alpha at TakeOver Dallas, which of course they lost the championships, but that was just an awesome match. Beat American Alpha in a rematch at NXT TakeOver The End to become the first ever 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions. That was another awesome match. I thought that was better than the Dallas match. And then they finished the feud with American Alpha on NXT TV in an awesome 2 out of 3 falls match for the NXT Tag Team Championships, which I thought was better than the match at the end. So not only were Revival having great matches, but they were topping their rematches with their respective opponents. And then, of course, they went to NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, back to Brooklyn as I like to call it, and faced team #DIY, you know, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, in an awesome, you know, 4-star classic, another awesome tag team championship match. And then, of course, they went out with a blaze of glory at NXT TakeOver Toronto in an outstanding and incredible 2 out of 3 falls tag team championship rematch with hashtag DIY, where, of course, they lost the championships. But that was one of the best tag team championship matches I had seen in quite some time, and it embodied what great tag team wrestling is all about. And I feel like the Revival have indeed redefined tag team wrestling. Not, this year alone, with all the great matches they've had with teams like American Alpha and hashtag DIY, they're top guys doing top guy things, even if they don't have the championships. Top guys doing top guy things. They are, no flips, just fists. They're an awesome team. And then when they come up to the main roster, and I personally wanted them to break the New Day's record instead of Cesaro and Sheamus. But when Revival come up to the main roster, I hope they go to SmackDown, kill it on there with all the tag teams there, hold on to the championships, win the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, eventually hold on to them for maybe a year even. And then, when they drop them, go on to bigger and better things, even if that means they have to split up, which I kind of not in favor of. But anyway, the Revival, awesome team. Scott Dawson, Dash Wilder, the first ever 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions and proud recipients of the Robbie1Kenobi Award for NXT Tag Team of the Year. And lastly, we have the Lucha Underground Trio of the Year, because, of course, Lucha Underground specializes in trios action. They do tag team matches, but the trios championships is where it's at. And this one, guys, was a tough pick. There are a few awards on here that were hard to pick because there were a few good options, good selections. But when it comes down to it, the trio that I felt was the best trio of the year is the Lucha Trinity of Rey Mysterio Jr., Prince Puma, and El Dragon Azteca Jr. Simply put, this was a Lucha Dream Team. You had Rey Mysterio, the King of Lucha, El Rey de Lucha. You had Prince Puma, one of the faces of Lucha Underground, one of the brightest young stars in the wrestling business, of course, known outside of Lucha Underground as Ricochet. And then, of course, you had the breakout star in El Dragon Azteca Jr., who is just awesome. His athleticism and agility are beyond compare. They come together. They win the tournament. They win. They earn a shot at the championships by winning the tournament, which culminates in a 4 corners elimination match. Then win the championships and go on to defend them successfully against Ivalice, Son of Havoc, and Johnny Mundo, who was replacing Angelico at the time. And even though the Lucha Trinity lost the titles the next time they defended them, which was against the Worldwide Underground, who was a high contender for this award, I felt like ultimately they were the best trio of the year. Now, in determining the winner for this award, I mainly went with which trio was the most impressive as a trio, not necessarily which members of the trio also had success as individual stars. If I did it that way, then Worldwide Underground would definitely have won this award because of everything Johnny Mundo has done since losing the trio championships at Ultima Lucha 2. But because I'm only considering the best trio of the year, and I'm looking at the trio that I felt like made the most impact, and even Matt Striker said it, this trio had to be the favorite to win the tournament. I'm going with the Lucha Trinity, an awesome combination of 3 very talented and outstanding luchadores, from Rey Mysterio Jr., the King, of course, to Puma, the Prince, and Dragon Azteca Jr., the breakout star. Just had really good, fun matches, great matches throughout the tournament and throughout their reign as champions. And yeah, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better Lucha Dream Team than that. I do like Fire, Space, and Fury, which of course is Drago, Aerostar, and Phoenix. I think they're a great trio as well. But to me, the trio that had the best run or made the best impact as a trio and not on their individual terms was the Lucha Trinity. Moving on, we have the awards for OMG Moment of the Year. First off, we'll start with Lucha Underground. We're going to mix things up a little bit. And the award goes to Black Lotus and El Dragon Azteca Jr. breaking Pentagon Dark's arms. Now, Pentagon, of course, has made a reputation for himself as the breaker of bones. Back in Season 1, he started breaking people's arms and sacrificing them for his master, his maestro, who ultimately was revealed to be Vampiro. So it was quite ironic and poetic when Black Lotus and Dragon Azteca Jr. broke both of Pentagon's arms. Not just one, but broke both his arms as payback for what he did at Ultima Lucha Dos when he interfered in their respective match and broke both of their arms. And this was coming off of when Pentagon had to run the gauntlet against the Black Lotus tribe. So to add insult to injury, Black Lotus first breaks one of Pentagon's arms, and then Dragon Azteca Jr. returns and says, "This is my vengeance," and breaks Pentagon's arm. So it was shocking, but also awesome and cool, hence OMG, to see the breaker of bones ultimately get his bones broken. It was poetic. It was payback. It was, you know, it was poetic payback, poetic justice, whatever you want to call it. And it was shocking because I don't think anybody ever expected someone was going to get the upper hand on Pentagon like that and actually, you know, give him a taste of his own medicine. But it was an OMG moment that was shocking and awesome. And that's why Lucha Underground is one of the best wrestling promotions out there, one of the best wrestling products out there for things like that. So, yeah, that was an awesome moment, a shocking moment. But, you know, like they say, what goes around comes around. So yeah, poetic justice for Black Lotus and Dragon Azteca Jr. to break Pentagon's arms and get revenge. Awesome moment, and yeah, pretty damn shocking considering that it was Pentagon at the mercy of those two. For NXT, the award goes to the epic Shinsuke Nakamura and Finn Balor face-off on NXT TV. Now, some of you might say, well, what about that one moment where Joe assaulted Nakamura and hospitalized him? That was the original pick for OMG moment of the year because that was pretty shocking. That was an insane moment. However, to me, why I picked Nakamura and Balor's face-off on NXT TV was because I felt like that was a bigger OMG moment because you had Balor in the ring contemplating his future with NXT. He had just lost the NXT Championship steel cage match to Samoa Joe, and this was, of course, after Joe beat him for the championship at the house show. And Balor was contemplating his future with NXT, which we pretty much figured out was going to be a call to the main roster because he had been with NXT for about 1.5 years at that point. So then after that, Nakamura comes out, and the crowd just goes freaking crazy because it's Nakamura and Balor, two icons in Japan, from one who was born in Japan, the other who made a name for himself in Japan, coming in the ring at the same time. And, you know, Balor did Nakamura's little rock star hand pose, and he even threw up too sweet, and they too sweeted each other. And it was just awesome. And then, you know, Nakamura comes out and says that he respects Finn and he considers Finn the icon of NXT. And Nakamura declares his intentions to be NXT champion and ultimately says that to be the champion, he has to beat Icon. And the crowd went crazy for that because it was going to be an epic first-time meeting. Shinsuke Nakamura, I think an epic first-time meeting ever in NXT. I'm not sure if they ever faced off in Japan, but it was Nakamura and Balor. That segment was awesome. It set the stage for their awesome match at on NXT TV, which I personally thought that would have been the match at Brooklyn, and I thought maybe Joe would have faced a different challenger, but still, awesome match between those two. Awesome send-off for Balor going to the main roster, and it was an OMG moment for the ages. I mean, Nakamura and Balor in the same ring. Nakamura wants to fight Balor. Balor accepts the challenge. You couldn't ask for a better face-off, whatever. I mean, just an awesome moment. And to me, that was a bigger OMG moment than Joe hospitalizing Nakamura, which that might be on this list. That might win an award. But yeah, Nakamura and Balor win the NXT OMG Moment of the Year Robbie1Kenobi Award. And finally, for WWE, the award goes to Goldberg conquering Brock Lesnar in under 2 minutes, or hashtag Goldberg 126 or 125, whatever time, because they changed the time a couple times when announcing it. But anyway, Now you're probably thinking, Rob, why not Shane McMahon diving off of the Hell in a Cell? Well, for two reasons. One, that's my holy shit moment of the year. You know, because we've seen Mick Foley get thrown off Hell in a Cell. We've seen Mick Foley get backdropped and thrown through Hell in a Cell. We've seen Shawn Michaels fall off Hell in a Cell. So we've seen people fall, or in Mick Foley's case, get thrown off Hell in a Cell. We've never seen anybody dive off Hell in a Cell. And we had a feeling Shane McMahon was going to dive. We just wanted to see if it was actually going to happen, you know. And he took that crazy dive, which he's lucky he didn't kill himself because of how high up he was. And that was undoubtedly the holy shit moment of the year and the holy shit moment of WrestleMania 32. Now, why I'm giving Goldberg and Lesnar the OMG moment of the year for the WWE is simply because none of us saw that outcome happening. We figured if Goldberg was going to beat Brock, they'd wrestle for like 10 minutes or whatever, and then there was going to be some kind of screwy finish, whether Shane got involved and got revenge on Brock or somebody else got involved and helped Goldberg beat Brock. We didn't expect Goldberg was going to squash Brock in 2 minutes, in under 2 minutes. We did not expect that. Because what basically happened was they got face-to-face. Brock tried to bully Goldberg into the corner. Goldberg shoved Brock on his ass. He speared Brock. He speared Brock again. He jackhammered him. 1, 2, 3. Match is over. That was an OMG moment right there. Because one, I didn't expect Brock to get beaten the way he did and in the time that he did. And two, I looked at it like, oh my God, what the hell just happened? Why did they do that? That was an OMG moment. None of us expected Brock was going to get conquered in under 2 minutes. We thought they'd go for a good 10, 15 minutes and then Goldberg would win or Brock would win, whatever. But no one thought Goldberg was going to go in there and conquer Brock the way he did. That's why I'm picking it as the OMG moment of the year, because of its unpredictability. Shane, we had a feeling he would dive off Hell in a Cell. Question was, would he actually do it? You know, would it actually happen? So we just had to see it to believe it. Goldberg beating Brock, well, we didn't expect that in 2 minutes. And that's why I gave it. That's why I'm giving it the OMG award, the OMG Moment of the Year award for the WWE. That's why, because of that unpredictability right there. Excuse me, a little swig of water. I also want to say what's up to John15HD. He was one of the original viewers during the last live stream when I did the Robbie1Kenobi Awards for 2016. So thank you for tuning in again, John. Of course, your questions and comments are welcome in the chat box. Hopefully, I'll get more viewers from this. Hopefully, I'll get more people tuning in. Now, let's move on to the return of the year. And this is one of those few awards where there's just going to be one undisputed winner, if you know what I mean. So, the winner of the Robbie1Kenobi 2016 Return of the Year award goes to, well, let me rephrase that. The winner of the 2016 Robbie1Kenobi Return of the Year award is Shane O'Mac himself, Shane McMahon. When Shane McMahon came out in Detroit, when his music hit during the Vince McMahon Legacy of Excellence Award ceremony, that crowd popped because they couldn't believe it was Shane O'Mac. Now, of course, there was that question, well, is Shane really going to come out? Because I was watching and thinking, like, no way. Is Shane actually going to come out? And when he came out, that crowd popped. That crowd popped and gave him one hell of a warm homecoming and a warm welcoming. And while Shane isn't necessarily winning the Comeback of the Year award, which I'm going to get to in a little bit, because next up we have the Segment of the Year awards. I feel like Shane had a very, very nice return to WWE following everything he did. Great Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker at WrestleMania 32. While it was slow and methodical, I still felt like it was a great match. Of course, the spot with him diving off the cell, that's the holy shit moment of the year, like I said, you know. And then, you know, even though he didn't win the match, Vince gave him power, and he got to run Raw for a few weeks, and then he became the SmackDown Live commissioner when the brand split went down, and he and Daniel Bryan had just been doing great things on SmackDown Live. I love SmackDown Live. That to me is the A show. That is the true flagship show. It's doing everything that a wrestling show should do. And it's building stars, and it's building storylines and characters and everything like that. I love it. And you have to believe that Shane and Daniel Bryan do have some say and some input into what comes out of their product, you know. So for me, Shane McMahon is receiving the Return of the Year award based on the return he had, the pop he got from the crowd, how awesome it was seeing him. And I'm also giving him the Return of the Year award simply because of other things he's done outside of the ring, in addition to the matches he's had this year, including him being a part of, you know, the Survivor Series Team Raw versus Team Smackdown elimination match, which I felt like he had a very strong showing in it. He proved he could still go. And I wouldn't be surprised if Shane wrestles for another 2 or 3 years. But it feels great to have Shane McMahon back. I feel like he and Daniel Bryan are doing a fantastic job on SmackDown. SmackDown finally beat Raw in the ratings this week. So many kudos to Team Blue, because I love Team Blue, and Raw is just dead. Raw is snore. So yeah, Shane isn't winning the Comeback of the Year award, but he definitely deserves the Return of the Year award, and I am giving him an extra acknowledgement for everything he's done inside and outside of the ring since returning to WWE. Now we move on to the Segment of the Year awards. So to start off, we'll go with NXT, and the award goes to Samoa. I almost said Samoa Joe hospitalizes Shinsuke Nakamura. This segment, to me, ultimately solidified Joe as one of the best monster heels in the company and one of the best monster heels in professional wrestling. He comes out shortly after losing the NXT Championship to Nakamura. He says he wasn't a true champion. He got beat by the better man. He was cocky. He was arrogant, everything. He congratulates Nakamura. He acknowledges that Nakamura is an excellent performer and wrestler. And he tells Nakamura he wants a rematch. And Nakamura agrees to give him a rematch. They shake hands. Joe leaves the ring. Nakamura celebrates. Nakamura's leaving the ring. And then Joe blindsides him and just mercilessly beats him down to the point where he hits him with a Uranagi on the steel stairs. And the thud of Nakamura bouncing off the steel stairs was ugly. And just that silence from the NXT universe as Nakamura is being attended to by EMTs, it was just insane. It was a segment where I was like, oh my God. And yes, I know I said that this could have been the OMG moment of the year for NXT. But for me, I felt like this was the best segment that NXT did, simply because it established a monster. It established sympathy for Nakamura. And it just goes to show you how things like this are key in wrestling and how they can have an impact. Because think about everything that happened after that. Joe comes out with the doctor's reports that Nakamura is going to be out for at least 6 weeks. And then he demands Regal either brings him Nakamura or brings him the NXT Championship. And I love how Joe would do it. He'd come out every week and say, Regal, bring me Nakamura or hand me my NXT title. And then when Regal wouldn't do it, he would just beat the hell out of any unfortunate soul that was in a match or was making their way out to the ring, and that was freaking awesome. And then, of course, you had Joe call out Nakamura again. Nakamura returns, takes the neck brace off, and they go to war, weeks later. But the segment with Joe hospitalizing Nakamura, I thought was awesome. I mean, I couldn't really think of another segment. There were a few other standout segments, but I'm thinking of the one NXT segment that really stood out to me. It was this one, because it shows why Joe is one of the best heels in the company. It established sympathy for Nakamura. Not saying he needed it, but just, how Corey Graves called it with his tone of voice, and how the crowd was in shock and everything, how they were showing their support for Nakamura. Great segment. It reminded me of the freaking Brock Lesnar segment from the night after WrestleMania, where he destroyed everybody in sight when he was trying to get to Seth Rollins. It was like that. And again, like I said, established Joe as a monster. It established sympathy for Nakamura, and it further added fuel to the fire for their feud. And it was one of those occasions where the NXT universe was just like silent. You might be able to hear 1 or 2 people, but it was like silent because they were just shocked and they wanted to show their support for Nakamura. So it was a great segment. I loved it. And again, like I said, it shows why Joe's one of the best monsters in the company, and it coined that great, you know, regal, bring me Nakamura line, which every time Joe delivered it with that intensity, it's freaking awesome. For Lucha Underground segment of the year, the award goes to the birth of Pentagon Dark. Now, with Lucha Underground, they're known more for their wrestling than their segments. They don't do many in-ring segments, but they do they do segments outside of the ring and outside of the temple. And honestly, the one segment to me that really stood out throughout all of Lucha Underground this year was the birth of Pentagon Dark, because it had this epic cinematic feel to it. You know, you have Pentagon, who is with Vampiro. They're finishing up Pentagon's training in preparation for his match with Matanza for the Lucha Underground Championship. And at the start of Ultima Lucha 2 Night 3, you have the two outside of a cave. And Vampiro tells Pentagon that in order to fully conquer the monster, you need to conquer your own fears. So you need to go into this cave and conquer the fear that's within you. Find that light that ultimately leads you to darkness. And basically from there, Pentagon goes in. He sees different variations of himself and ends up fighting himself. But what that ultimately symbolizes is any ounce of weakness that might still be in him, or any ounce of fear that might still be in him following his last encounter with Matanza. And he just beats up all the other Pentagon Juniors. And then there's one more Pentagon that comes from behind him. He knocks that one out, pulls the mask off, and ultimately reveals it to be Vampiro. So that segment itself was awesome. And it set the stage for what was the best night of the 3 nights of Ultima Lucha 2. You know, it set the stage for the grand finale. It set the stage for the championship match. And then, of course, you had Pentagon come out in all black during the Black Lotus El Dragon Azteca Jr. match. And he broke both their arms, like I said earlier, and declared himself reborn. And that he found the darkness. He found the light that ultimately led him to darkness, and that he was ready to ultimately slay Matanza. It was awesome. It further solidifies Pentagon Dark as a badass. And to me, also, it solidifies Vampiro as a true veteran and legend in the sport. I love how Lucha Underground has really made him a namesake. I really like how they're making him a cornerstone of Lucha Underground. Great commentator, you know, along with Matt Striker. He's involved in these segments where he's able to go back and bring out the dark side of Vampiro from back in the day. So it's great. So this segment, again, establishes Pentagon as a badass and further establishes appreciation for Vampiro and what he's done for Lucha Underground and the veteran that he is in the wrestling business. So, I mean, it was like a Star Wars segment mixed in with, you know, classic kung fu and martial arts. It was just awesome. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go try and find it on YouTube. But yeah, the birth of Pentagon Dark, awesome segment, best segment of the year for Lucha Underground. And finally, the segment of the year for WWE, the award goes to John Cena and AJ Styles in the same ring for the first time ever. Of course, Cena's return to WWE was highly, you know, publicized and promoted. He returned that Monday night on Memorial Day, and no one expected. You know, I remember speculating, like, what exactly would happen. You know, would Cena come face to face with AJ? Would he come face to face with Balor? Would he come face to face with, you know, who would he come face to face with? And lo and behold, he came face to face with AJ Styles. You know, the face of TNA, a veteran, 18+ year veteran in the game. And it was an awesome moment. I mean, AJ comes to the ring, Cena's already in the ring, and the crowd's going crazy. They're chanting, "Let's go Cena, AJ Styles," you know, "Let's go Cena, AJ Styles." It was just such an awesome segment. It gave me goosebumps seeing the crowd just get excited like that. And these guys hadn't even done anything. They were just in the ring, taking in all that excitement and taking in that energy. It was an awesome moment. And then, if I remember this correctly, I think AJ said something about, like, you know, how they're similar in the roads they took to get with her. I don't remember exactly what they said, but I remember what happened after they had words with each other. I believe they did shake hands. But after that, out comes Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. who had broken ties with AJ Styles. And I thought at that point, okay, AJ Styles is gonna team up with John Cena. They're gonna fight the club at maybe Money in the Bank, and then maybe Balor's gonna come out and he's gonna interfere, and that's gonna start setting the stage for AJ versus Balor at Money in the Bank. And then would it look like Cena and AJ were gonna fight side by side. AJ blindsides Cena, starts beating him down. The club gets involved. They start beating AJ down. Or not AJ, they start beating Cena down. And then when they start to leave the ring and officials and, some medical staff start to attend to Cena, what does AJ do? He runs back into the ring. He keeps beating the hell out of Cena. It was freaking awesome. And when you thought he was done, he left the ring and he came back again. It was awesome. It was a holy shit kind of moment. It was great. And that segment ultimately coined the famous beat up John Cena phrase, which AJ Styles used in the build up to his matches with Cena in the summer, and he even used it again on Talking Smack Tuesday night. That was an awesome segment. I mean, what really made that segment was the crowd. Just like with Nakamura and Balor in their face-off. That was just awesome what happened. And, from there, AJ went on to beat Cena twice. Once controversially, but the other time clean at SummerSlam. And it was just, it was awesome. The crowd made that segment. And then AJ turned heel, and how he kept coming after Cena was great. And, like I said, I feel like with that segment, that really helped AJ, catapult him a little bit to ultimately lead him to the path toward the WWE Championship. So it was a great segment, like I said. And it was the crowd, their interactions, them chanting, let's go Cena, AJ Styles. It was really that ultimately made that segment. But AJ turning on Cena, totally unexpected. And his ferocity and intensity when he kept beating up Cena was awesome. And it, like I said, it coined the catchphrase, beat up John Cena. And I even remember tweeting once, eat, sleep, beat up John Cena, repeat. And even TN Couponer said that could be he could see that as a shirt. So that was awesome. Segment of the year for WWE goes to John Cena and AJ Styles for their first time ever face off in the ring, and the beatdown that preceded it. Moving on to comeback of the year. First off, we'll start with NXT, and the award goes to Eric Young. Now you're gonna be pretty surprised with why I chose Eric Young, because let's be real, with NXT, it may take some wrestlers a few tries to find that one niche or that one gimmick that gets them over with the NXT universe, and then from there it's smooth sailing, and the sky's the limit. But they don't really mess wrestlers up when it comes to building them up and establishing them as top talent that they need a comeback. You know what I'm saying? So why I'm giving Eric Young comeback of the year is very simple. I thought he was a one-and-done deal with NXT when he debuted. He came out after Samoa Joe celebrated the throning, I almost said destroying, but the throning Bobby Roode. Sorry, Bobby Roode's on one of the next awards I'm giving out. I was looking at my notes. But anyway, after destroying Finn Balor, the throning him, I should say, for the NXT Championship, he came out and celebrated. Then Eric Young unexpectedly came out. And Eric Young had a little face-to-face confrontation with Joe, and it led to a match later that night where Joe beat Eric Young. And then from there, Eric Young wasn't seen from again. Eric Young wasn't on NXT TV. I don't know if he worked house shows, but he wasn't seen from again. And I thought, okay, is he done with NXT? Did they release him? Like, what happened? Then we fast forward to NXT TakeOver back to Brooklyn. And the very first airing of the Sanity vignette. And I'm thinking, Sanity. What is this? A faction? A wrestler? What is Sanity? Is it a program or something? Like, what's going on, So we see the Sanity vignettes keep playing for about a month and a half. Then October rolls around, and Sanity make their debut during the first round of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. And ultimately, it's revealed that Sanity is a 4-person faction. It's a quartet consisting of Sawyer Fulton, Alexander Wolf, Nikki Cross, who I know better from the independent circuits as the best in the galaxy, Nikki Storm, and their leader, you have to believe, Eric Young. Their entrance was pretty freaking badass. Their music is pretty freaking badass. They look like, wasteland warriors from like Mad Max, like apocalyptic warriors, whatever you want to call them. They're crazy. They're brutal. They may have lost 1 or 2 matches, but I feel like Eric Young has a more significant role now as the leader of Sanity, because I really don't know what they would have done with Eric Young in NXT, the way he just came out. So that's why I feel like this is a comeback for him, because if they didn't come up with the Sanity gimmick, and he wasn't on TV, and he wasn't at the house shows, then they were going to probably release him. So I'm not like the biggest Eric Young fan. I'm not really an Eric Young fan, but I like what they're doing with him and Sanity, and maybe what he does in 2017 as the leader of Sanity will make me more of a fan of his. But yeah, I have to give him the Comeback of the Year award simply because he had a one-night appearance where I was very uncertain for his future, and he came back with this wild, brutal faction, which is making a name for themselves in a short period of time. They're still making a name for themselves, but they're doing good things, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they have in store for 2017. So for Eric Young, for NXT, I feel like Eric Young deserves the Robbie1Kenobi Award for Comeback of the Year. Moving on to Lucha Underground, the award goes to Rey Mysterio Jr. Now, granted, Rey wasn't in Lucha Underground when the show first kicked off, when the promotion first debuted, but he made his debut in February of this past February, earlier this year. And, everything he's done this year is just amazing compared to where I felt he was going to end up 2 years ago. Because when he was with WWE 2 years ago, I think he got injured again. And I was at the point where I was like, Rey keeps getting injured. He keeps having to take time off. I don't think he should wrestle anymore. I think he should retire. I literally thought Rey Mysterio should retire after getting injured or released, whatever, again, in WWE. And then he starts doing things on the independent circuit. And it starts working out for him a little better. He makes an appearance at WrestleCon last year in San Jose during WrestleMania 31 weekend, which I wish I could have met him that day, but I wasn't in San Jose on the day. He was only there on one day, so I wasn't there. I was there the following day, which I wish he would have been there as well. But Rey keeps doing things on the independent circuit, and then the news breaks that he will be wrestling for Lucha Underground in 2016. And during Season 2, he will be wrestling for Lucha Underground. And after appearing in a couple segments, he makes his debut in Aztec Warfare 2 as the #2 entrant. He gets a wicked ovation from the crowd, has a standout showing in that match. He eliminates King Guerno. He starts off with Phoenix. He, along with Prince Puma, eliminates Mil Muertes. He makes it to the final 2 with Matanza, where he almost beats Matanza for the Lucha Underground Championship. And even though he lost to Matanza, he went on to have just great matches with the Lucha Trinity. They teamed up, of course. They went on to win the tournament and win the Trios Championships, successfully defend them the next week or so. And then, of course, they dropped them to the Worldwide Underground controversially, and they lost the rematch via DQ. But from there, Rey has an incredible match with Prince Puma at Ultima Lucha 2. Kicks off Season 3 of Lucha Underground in the main event against Pentagon Dark in a great match. Wrestled Pentagon and Chavo Guerrero Jr. in a triple threat match, which was a good fun match. Beat Chavo in a loser leaves Lucha match. Enters Aztec Warfare 3. Eliminates Matanza, and then ultimately takes a beating from Matanza, which includes a back injury. And he hasn't been seen on Lucha Underground other than segments, but still, the Rey Mysterio of now, compared to the Rey Mysterio of 2 years ago when he was constantly getting injured, he looks like a whole new Rey. Like if he turned back the clock 10 years or so. He went back to being the Rey Mysterio that, the Rey Mysterio of old, the Rey Mysterio of the past, that made him such a household name in WCW and WWE. It was great to see Rey achieve everything he did in Lucha Underground. It was great to see him just come back and be the Rey of himself. He wasn't watered down. He wasn't forced to wrestle a big man style. He showed us why he is still El Rey de Lucha Libre, you know, the king of Lucha. And as a proud Rey Mysterio fan, because he's in my top 5, guys. He's definitely in my top 5 of favorite wrestlers of all time. It was just great to see him back and do what he does best. It felt like a breath of fresh air to see Rey Mysterio wrestle like the Lucha King that he is and not get injured, compared to like 2-3 years ago when he was in WWE. Would I be up for Rey to return to the WWE for one last run? If he can be the Rey of old and not have to work like a big man style, I'm so for it. If not, and he stays with Lucha Underground for years to come, by all means, more power to him, because he's killing it in Lucha Underground. So Rey Mysterio Jr., congratulations on winning a #Robbie1 award for the Lucha Underground Comeback of the Year. I'm going to take another swig of water, guys, so my throat's a little rough. All right. There you go. All right, let's continue with these awards. And looks like we are not... Looks like we might be doing this in under an hour. Maybe even under 2 hours. But that's good, because, like I said, I already did this. I don't have much else to say. I wanted to do this properly, so it's a complete video. So let's move on to the ring announcer of the year. And there's only one winner for this award. And the award goes to, for the 2nd year in a row, I may add, the lovely and talented Melissa Santos from Lucha Underground. You guys know me. I'm a big Melissa Santos fan. The girl is beautiful. The girl kills it on the mic as a ring announcer. She is, I feel like, how she does it as a ring announcer, as a female ring announcer, I feel like she's somewhat of an empowering figure to younger women. You know, how she does it, because I mean, I feel like the way she's herself as ring announcer, she goes out there and, you know, and does it her way. I feel like that can be an empowering message to young women, saying that you can be just as strong and as strong as the men. You can do it just as good as they can, even better. I love Melissa Santos. You know, she's beautiful, like I said. And every time I hear her say the following lucha is scheduled for one fall, or the following lucha is for this title, that title, for this prize, this stipulation, she's just awesome, you know. And I love the swagger she has when she's introducing Cage, and she says, from the 559, she's just awesome. You know, what more can I say about Melissa Santos that I haven't already said? Beautiful, talented, awesome, and deserving again of a #Robbie1 award for Ring Announcer of the Year. So that makes her the first ever 2-time winner of the Robbie1 award for Ring Announcer of the Year. So congratulations, Melissa Santos. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you bring to the table with Lucha Underground in 2017. Next up, we have the Commentary Team of the Year. And, of course, this is only going to go to one commentary team. And the award goes to Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan from the WWE Cruiserweight Classic, a.k.a. the CWC. Yes, they only did commentary together for 10 weeks compared to, like, you know, Raw's commentary team, SmackDown's commentary team, you know, the team of Matt Striker and Vampiro on Lucha Underground. But Mauro and Daniel's commentary throughout the CWC was just something so special, something so fresh, you know. They love wrestling. They know their history of wrestling. They made this tournament feel like it was one in a million. This was a very unique tournament for WWE. There was no heels or faces. There was no storylines. Well, I mean, I guess the only storyline really was which cruiserweight out of the 32 would ultimately rise to prove themselves to be the best in the tournament, you know. But it was so fresh, and to have Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo call those matches, their commentary made those matches more dramatic, more suspenseful, more emotional, especially when Daniel Bryan was calling any matches involving the Brian Kendrick. Because, of course, Daniel Bryan and Brian Kendrick are very good friends. You know, seeing Daniel Bryan have that emotional moment with Brian Kendrick, congratulating him after losing to Cody Aboushi, but congratulating him, of course, on just a great Cinderella story, making it as far as he did. That was great. And just Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan on commentary is gold. Mauro Ranallo is one of the best commentators in sports today, maybe even the best, you know. And Daniel Bryan, I would love to see Daniel Bryan do more commentary. I personally wish he and Mauro and Nigel McGuinness were calling the UK the United Kingdom Championship tournament that's going to be airing over the next two on January 14th and 15th on the WWE Network. I personally wish they were calling that. We'll see how Michael Cole and Nigel McGuinness do. Hopefully, they'll just let Cole and McGuinness be themselves, and the commentary will be smooth. But yeah, I mean, Matt Striker and Vampiro, stellar commentary team. I love their commentary on Lucha Underground, you know. But I got to give it to Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan this year because their commentary throughout the CWC just felt so special. It felt like something so different, like a breath of fresh air from WWE, you know. It made the tournament special. It made it feel like 1 in a million. And, you know, it shows you how wrestling, I guess, doesn't always have to be about heels and faces, you know. Let's do something fresh. Let's do something unique to boost our product, to make it feel special, you know. I love the commentary that Daniel Bryan and Mauro Ranallo did. I tweeted Mauro Ranallo and I said, well, I didn't tweet him personally, but I mentioned him in this tweet during the NXT TakeOver Toronto pre-show, that you gotta love and respect his passion and enthusiasm for professional wrestling, and he deserved to be calling that show with Corey Graves and Tom Phillips. And he replied with a fist bump. So that meant a lot to me. I love Mauro Ranallo. I love Daniel Bryan. Their commentary was awesome. If they do another CWC or even a women's tournament, I'd love for them to call that tournament as well. Hell, you know what? If they want to do a 3-person booth, Mauro, Daniel Bryan, and maybe a trendsetter like Alundra Blaze, Trish Stratus, or Lita, that'd be great. But yeah, Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan, very deserving of commentary team of the year. Like I said, guys, this one was kind of tough too, because I love Matt Striker and Vampiro because their commentary is always fresh on Lucha Underground. But I give a slight edge to Mauro Ranallo and Daniel Bryan simply because they made the CWC feel like a once-in-a-lifetime tournament. Their commentary was just awesome. It was on point throughout the whole tournament. So congratulations, gentlemen, on winning a #Robbie1 award for Commentary Team of the Year. Next up, we have the Entrance of the Year, a little award I like the Ring Announcer of the Year award that I concocted last year for the inaugural Robbie1Kenobi Awards. And the Entrance of the Year award goes to, well, it goes to Bobby Roode for his NXT TakeOver entrance. But here's the question. Which NXT TakeOver entrance does it go to? Well, I can only describe it in one word. Glorious. But which glorious entrance? Brooklyn or Toronto? In my opinion, I think his Toronto entrance was the best entrance of the year. I did have Tommy CB ask me, did I not like Nakamura's Brooklyn entrance? Did I think Roode's entrance was better than Nakamura's Brooklyn entrance? Don't get me wrong. Nakamura's Brooklyn entrance with Lee England Jr. on the violin was awesome. It made Nakamura even more of a rock star than he already was. It just felt freaking epic. Why I'm going with Bobby Roode's NXT TakeOver Toronto entrance is simply because I felt like he topped his previous entrance. I mean, both his TakeOver entrances have been great. At Brooklyn, he came down, he ascended from the heavens like a messiah on a platform. That was awesome. But at Toronto, he had a choir performing his entrance theme. And I had a big smile on my face. I think I got goosebumps. I think it was just awesome. This is just my personal opinion, guys. Yes, Nakamura has had some standout entrances this year. To me, I just really, really loved, however, Roode's TakeOver Toronto entrance. And the only way he's going to top that entrance is at either San Antonio or Orlando if he has a freaking orchestra. But to me, both entrances embody why Bobby Roode is glorious. I mean, when the guy, like I said, is over like $1 million, has one of the best, if not the best, entrance theme of 2016. That entrance was awesome. And what a homecoming it was for Bobby Roode, who is from Toronto. So, I mean, what more can I say? Both entrances were glorious, but if I had to pick one, I'd go with the Toronto entrance because I felt that was a little more epic. And like I said, the next entrance he makes at either San Antonio or Orlando, if he tops it, it'll be because he has an orchestra, which I want to see NXT get an orchestra. I also want to see them get an orchestra for Nakamura because his entrance deserves an orchestra. But yeah, I'm going with Bobby Roode's NXT Takeover Toronto entrance. I just felt it was more epic and more glorious. Just the fact he had a choir, that says it all. That says it all. All right, so we have, let's see. So we have about 8 more awards to give out. Well, 8 more categories to go through. So we're making good time. We've been online streaming for about an hour. So let's keep it going. I'm happy we're not going to hit the 2.5 hour mark. So that's awesome. All right. Next award, NXT TakeOver Special of the Year. And the award goes to NXT TakeOver Dallas. I will always think of Zach Brown's tweet on Twitter. That picture of Triple H holding a ticket to NXT TakeOver Dallas, and Zach's tweet when you're promoting when you're promoting the hottest show on during WrestleMania weekend. When you're in the main event and you're promoting the hottest show during WrestleMania weekend. Because to me, NXT TakeOver Dallas was the hottest show of WrestleMania weekend. It was definitely better than WrestleMania 32. Even though I did think WrestleMania 32 was a good show for what it was, TakeOver Dallas was awesome. TakeOver Dallas had a big fight feel to it. And I got to believe it's because it was in Texas. You know, everything's bigger in Texas. I mean, every match on the card was good to great. You know, Austin Aries and Baron Corbin, good solid match, which saw Aries, you know, get the win in his NXT and ring debut. American Alpha and the Revival in the opening match for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Great opener with American Alpha getting that emotional win. That was awesome. You know, of course, what the one match this show is going to always be remembered for, the epic battle between Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami Zayn, which was Zayn's send-off from NXT. It was the match where the crowd was chanting, you know, fight forever, fight forever. It was the, you know, the match where, you know, Nakamura became a rock star basically, even just by making his entrance. That match was freaking epic. One of the best matches of the year for 2016. You had Bayley and Asuka for the NXT Women's Championship in a great women's match, which ultimately saw Asuka not slay, but, you know, choke Bayley out to win the NXT Women's Championship. It was a shocking finish. You know, it was so shocking to the point that it had, you know, the little Izzy superfan Bayley on, you know, it brought her to tears. She was just ecstatic, and just it was heartbreaking for her to see what happened. I heard she tried to jump the barricade at NXT TakeOver Dallas, which was crazy. And then, of course, Balor and Joe in their rematch for the NXT Championship, which I thought was great. And, of course, this was the infamous match where Joe got busted open seconds into the match, and they kept stopping the match because of the blood loss, which wasn't a lot of blood loss, but they had to try to stop the cut. And the crowd was just getting impatient and furious, and they were chanting. And this was the NXT crowd. Remember, they were chanting this. They were chanting "fuck PG," you know. So that was crazy. But NXT TakeOver Dallas, in my opinion, best show, best NXT TakeOver special of the year. Just had a big fight feel to it. It was just an awesome show from start to finish. And again, I mean, what more can I say, guys? What more can I say about NXT that I haven't already said? NXT TakeOver Dallas, it was the hottest show of the weekend, had a big fight feel to it, all the matches good to great. You know, Bobby Roode showed up in NXT TakeOver. I believe, yeah, he showed up in NXT TakeOver Dallas. And that's when the buzz started about him signing with WWE. Cody Aboushi made an appearance in NXT TakeOver Dallas. So that was the must-see show of the year, well, of the weekend. And that was the hottest ticket in Dallas that weekend. So, yeah, NXT TakeOver Dallas, congratulations. You've won a #Robbie1 award for NXT TakeOver Special of the Year. For WWE Pay-Per-View of the Year, the award goes to the Royal Rumble. I felt like this show was just awesome from start to finish. Like NXT TakeOver Dallas, every match on the card was good to great. And, I mean, you had the Royal Rumble match itself, which was awesome, which was a better Rumble match than the last 2 years, because, of course, the last 2 years had controversy regarding the winners and, you know, lack of Daniel Bryan in one match and lack of him with regards to how long he actually lasted in the other match. But, yeah, The Royal Rumble in my opinion this year was just awesome. Awesome Intercontinental Championship match between Ambrose and Owens, which was last man standing. Crazy spots throughout that match. Good fun tag team match between the New Day and the Usos for the tag team championships. Great United States Championship match between Kalisto and Alberto Del Rio, which I feel like is going to become a hidden gem for WWE and the main roster in years to come. Yes, you know, Del Rio won the freaking belt back from Kalisto the day after he lost it on that Smackdown taping, and then of course Kalisto won the title here at the Rumble back from Del Rio. But I thought they put on a great match. Charlotte and Becky was good, but I felt like it was disappointing because I was expecting a little more. But of course that had, you know, Sasha come out and declare her intentions to become the Divas champion at the time. And then, of course, the Royal Rumble match itself, which was 1 versus all, with Roman Reigns defending the WWE World Heavyweight Championship against 29 other guys. AJ Styles debuting in this match, like I mentioned earlier, the epic debut he made and how long he lasted at 30 minutes. Jericho coming in, lasting a little more than 35 minutes, I believe. Brock Lesnar was in it. You know, the Wyatt family was in it. Sami Zayn was in the match for a few minutes. You know, he made his main roster debut and eliminated Kevin Owens. Owens eliminating AJ Styles earlier in the match and taunting him, welcoming him to the WWE. Great Royal Rumble match, one of the better Royal Rumble matches in recent years. I'll go ahead and say it. Between 2010 and 2016, I'll say this was the best Royal Rumble match in the last 6-7 years. And then, of course, Triple H returning at number 30, eliminating Roman Reigns, and then it coming down to Ambrose and Triple H ultimately winning the championship. So, awesome match. Unfortunately, the follow-up with Roman and Triple H, their feud, didn't go so well because WWE dropped the ball when they freaking gave Roman another chance at becoming the champion after the McMahons did their damnedest to get the title away from him. But that's another story for a different day. But anyway, WWE pay-per-view of the year goes to Royal Rumble 2016. Love the show. Not a bad match. Even the Divas Championship match, good solid match. Disappointing, but like not a terrible match. Not a bad match on the card. I feel like the show just really flowed well, and it was awesome. I just wish WWE would have capitalized better and followed up better than they did afterwards. But great, awesome pay-per-view, and the winner of the hashtag Robbie1 award for WWE pay-per-view of the year. Now, next award, a new award that I concocted for this year, WWE Network Special of the Year. And guys, in my opinion, it only goes to one show, the WWE Cruiserweight Classic Live Finale. I gave that show a 10 out of 10. I saw nothing wrong with that show. That was a perfect show. And it was the best way to conclude what was an already awesome tournament. You know, the Cruiserweight Classic Live Finale. You had Zack Sabre Jr. and Grand Metalik in the first semifinal match. I did not expect Grand Metalik to win. A lot of us expected Zack Sabre Jr. and Kota Ibushi to make it to the finals, and one of them would ultimately win the tournament. Didn't happen. Metalik beats Zack Sabre Jr. in a great opening match. I was shocked when it happened, but it was a great opening match. Then you had one of, if not the best match in the tournament, TJ Perkins and Kota Ibushi. My God, what a match that was. That had stellar storytelling, emotion, athleticism. The beating TJP took, you know, all those kicks to the chest, the scars he was wearing on his chest, you know, the emotion in it, the fact that TJP kept taking the fight to Kota Ibushi, and then the big shock of the night, Kota Ibushi tapping out to the knee bar. I didn't expect that, but that was a fucking fantastic match. It was just an awesome, awesome match. Like I said, one of, if not the best match of that tournament, one of the best matches of the year for sure. An emotional roller coaster ride. I mean, what more could you ask for from those two guys? And then you had a nice tag team match between hashtag DIY and Cedric Alexander and Noam Dar. Good, fun, fast-paced match. Great match overall. And then the finals, which were for the Cruiserweight Championship, which thank God it was not a purple championship. It was not the WWE Championship painted purple. Thank God it was an actual original championship. You know, Grand Metalik and TJ Perkins in the finals. Really good match that saw TJ Perkins win the Cruiserweight Championship. And to me, the Cruiserweight Classic embodied why I love professional wrestling, why professional wrestling is awesome, why it's still around today, why it's little things like that that keep professional wrestling alive. And that was something that I'd like to see more of in professional wrestling. Something fresh, something unique, you know. The Cruiserweight Classic live finale and the Cruiserweight Classic tournament itself were just awesome. And honestly, I can't think of a better network special that could beat this one. Not even that fucking clusterfuck of a show, Roadblock. The original Roadblock from back in March when I had the horrible stream, you know, live stream issues. That was horrible. But no, yeah. The Cruiserweight Classic live finale, best network special of the year from WWE. If you guys haven't seen it, go see it. That TJP Cody Aboushi match is definitely worth watching. Next up, we have the Feud of the year. So we've made it to the final 5 categories, guys. Feud of the year. So, first up, for WWE, the award goes to Charlotte versus Sasha Banks. In my opinion, best women's feud of the year on the main roster. These women had multiple matches, many of them good to great. It's a feud that started in NXT, made its way to the main roster, and I feel like really hit its peak, so to speak, in the summertime when they had that awesome match for the Women's Championship on Raw from Pittsburgh. My good friend Daniel Geiza was on July 25th, that awesome episode of Raw. I'll keep mentioning it just like he will, where Sasha won the belt, and then, of course, she dropped it to Charlotte at SummerSlam. And, of course, that was because Sasha had an injury. They were unsure how long she'd be out. And then they traded title victories. And that's the one thing I didn't like about this feud was that Charlotte kept winning the belt on pay-per-view. Sasha kept winning it on Raw. Why couldn't Sasha have retained the title at Hell in a Cell or even Roadblock in the line? You know, that's the one thing about this feud I didn't like, was that they kept flip-flopping or hot potato in the Raw Women's Championship. That's what I didn't like. That Sasha never got the title on pay-per-view. She never won one of those 3 championships she won this year on pay-per-view. And when I found out she lost the title to Charlotte at Roadblock in the line, it pissed me off, and I started saying, you know what, I'm starting to get sick and tired of seeing Charlotte always win that belt. But who knows? They're probably going to have Charlotte become a 16-time women's champion so she can tie her father's record of 16 world championships. But other than that, I feel like their feud on the main roster was the best women's feud for sure. Yes, it was always about them on the main roster when there were other women like Bayley, Nia Jax, Dana Brooke, Paige, Summer Rae. But I feel like all the great matches they put in and how their feuds progressed ultimately was a testament to the great women's wrestlers that they are. I mean, look at all the matches they had this year. Yes, the Iron Woman match I wasn't a fan of. I wish it would have just been like an I Quit match because I feel like they just forcefully, WWE forcefully did the Iron Woman match so they could say, hey, we had women compete in an Iron Man match. The Hell in a Cell match, that match I was so happy for because their feud was fitting of a Hell in a Cell match. And they got to main event the show too. I was very happy for that, and I was proud of them. But the Iron Woman match, I felt should have just been an I Quit match, where the loser leaves Raw and goes to SmackDown. Because I feel like the Iron Woman match should be saved for that special occasion, because I feel like they kind of forcefully did that stipulation. But other than that, I mean, Charlotte and Sasha had good to great matches throughout the year. And I feel like they just really established what women's wrestling is about, And I feel like their matches and their performances were a testament to the great women's wrestlers that they are. Yes, I wish Sasha was still champion. I wish she would have come out better booked in this feud. I wish this would have been her year and not Charlotte's. But, I mean, I'm giving them where credit's due for their feud this year, which I honestly thought, I mean, Miz and Dolph Ziggler had a great feud for the 3 months or so it went. But when you look at Charlotte and Sasha, they pretty much feuded from the summer until just now. So that's a majority of the year, half of the year practically. So Charlotte versus Sasha, not a fan of them hot potato in the championship, but they had a very significant feud and meaningful feud on the main roster, and they did put on some really good to great women's matches that ultimately proved why they are two of the best women's wrestlers in the game. So Charlotte and Sasha win the award for WWE Feud of the Year. For NXT, the award goes to Samoa Joe versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I actually came up with a unique theory about this feud because you could actually say that they were destined to fight following NXT TakeOver Dallas. Joe didn't win the championship from Balor, of course, but that's because NXT wanted to give Balor the honor of becoming the longest reigning NXT champion, which is understandable. No controversy there. Nakamura beat Sami Zayn in Zayn's farewell match from NXT, his send-off. And then from there, of course, Joe beat Balor for the title. Nakamura kept beating guys like Austin Aries and Alex Riley and Steve Cutler and Ty Dillinger. And, of course, he beat Balor himself. And then eventually they were going to clash. And Joe didn't think Nakamura was deserving of a title shot. And Joe even went on the record and said that if Nakamura was king of strong style, that Joe himself was emperor of strong style. And, of course, they had a great match in NXT TakeOver Brooklyn, which saw Nakamura win the belt. Then Joe assaulted Nakamura and, hospitalized him. And, of course, Joe would go on a tear to get back what was rightfully his. The build to their match at TakeOver Toronto was better than the build for their match at TakeOver Brooklyn. I felt the match in Toronto was great, too, even though I thought the match at Brooklyn was better. And, of course, Joe had to go to whatever lanes he had to win the championship, and he surprisingly beat Nakamura for the title and became the first ever two-time NXT champion. Then they did the rematch at NXT Osaka. Nakamura won the belt back, becoming the second ever NXT champion. Then they settled their score in a steel cage match at NXT Melbourne, with Nakamura ultimately winning the series and retaining the NXT championship. So they had a good to great series of matches throughout the year. I like the build that went into their matches. And I ultimately feel like I said with regards to the segment of the year when I mentioned Joe hospitalized Nakamura. I felt like this established Joe as one of the best on NXT, one of the best monster heels, and established Nakamura, further established him as a rock star, and further established him as the man in NXT and one of the top stars. So, great feud. And again, in this feud, it's a testament to how great the two main performers are. So, congratulations to Joe and Nakamura for winning a #Robbie1 award for the NXT Feud of the Year. And lastly, we have the Lucha Underground Feud of the Year, and the award goes to Sexy Star versus Marty the Moth Martinez and Mariposa. Very rare you see a one-on-two rivalry or feud win Feud of the Year. But to me, this was the most compelling feud in Lucha Underground all year. Sexy Star became is it namesake or namestay? She became a household name. She became a cornerstone for Lucha Underground. Excuse me. And from the time the show debuted to now, Sexy Star is one of the most beloved performers in Lucha Underground. And at the end of, she was a fighter, and she always faced any comer. She was not afraid to face anybody. The mask ultimately represented her overcoming darkness, and in the sense of, domestic abuse and everything like that, all the trials and tribulations she's faced. She was a fighter. She seemed unbreakable. And then at the end of season 1, at the end of Ultima Lucha last year, she was kidnapped by Marty the Moth. And Marty kept saying, if you think I'm crazy, wait till you meet my sister. And we don't know exactly what happened to Sexy Star, but when season 2 kicked off, she managed to escape Marty and Marty's sister, who didn't know what her name was at the time. But when she returned to the temple, Sexy Star was not the same luchadora. She was not the same fighter. Marty kept playing mind games with her, cost her a match with Cobra Moon. And then, the Mac, Willie Mac, a.k.a. the Mac, had his issues with Marty the Moth, and he had formed a friendship with Sexy Star. And when Marty and Mac had a match, out came Mariposa for the first time in a kind of creepy Silence of the Lambs-like costume. And you see Sexy Star shake and shiver, and she started to back down, and she started to cry actually in fear. And this was the very first time you ever saw Sexy Star vulnerable like that, because like I said, she'd been a fighter she'd been a fighter throughout her time in Lucha Underground, and no one had ever broken her. But for the very first time, she was vulnerable. She was broken. We don't know exactly what Marty and Mariposa did to her, but they mentally scarred her. I don't know if they physically scarred her, but they mentally scarred her and mentally tortured her. And it was just crazy to see Sexy Star, who was, like I said, a fighter, who was strong, you know, never backed down from anybody. It was crazy to see her crying in fear, backing down from Mariposa, and then they just bullied her and beat her up. And eventually, Sexy Star had enough. And it ultimately resulted in her having a no mas match with Mariposa, where she was busted open, she was beaten badly, brutally, and she refused to quit. And there was that one iconic moment where Mariposa has Sexy Star in a submission. I forget what it is. It was kind of like a gory special. And when the referee asked Sexy Star, does she say no mas? With all her strength, she says, "Fuck you! Fuck you, Mariposa! Fuck you!" And then she fights back. She forces Mariposa to say no mas. And then, in the ultimate form of redemption and vindication, in the 7-way Gift of the Gods elimination match at Ultima Lucha 2, Sexy Star pins both Marty the Moth and Mariposa to win the Gift of the Gods championship. And of course, even though she lost that title to Johnny Mundo, she would eventually win the Lucha Underground championship. And that was the perfect way for her to end that feud. Beating Marty and Mariposa was the best way for her to end the feud. And then ultimately winning the Lucha Underground championship was ultimate redemption and vindication. And that put a stamp on a comeback year for her, so to speak, after she was broken and she was traumatized. She built herself back up, and she won the Lucha Underground championship and became the first woman to ever do so. So awesome feud, very compelling feud between Sexy Star, Marty the Moth, and Mariposa. And it ultimately resulted in Sexy Star, you know, winning that brutal no mas match, which I thought was a great fucking match, and winning the Lucha Underground Gift of the Gods championship, and ultimately the Lucha Underground championship. Can somebody please tell me why I keep saying NXT whenever I mention Sexy Star? Can somebody please tell me? I am sorry. Okay. Next category, the promotion of the year. Obviously, this is only going to one wrestling promotion, and the award goes to, for the second year in a row, NXT. You know, NXT, they lost a few of their big players in the draft. Finn Balor, American Alpha, Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss, and Carmella. So NXT knew they were going to have to, not necessarily rebuild, but they were going to have to move forward and build new talent, establish a new NXT, so to speak. And they did just that. Following the draft, they acquired great talent like Bobby Roode, TM61, Authors of Pain. Before that, they acquired Nakamura, who was the biggest acquisition they could get in NXT's history. They got Austin Aries. They put on great NXT specials like Dallas, The End, Brooklyn, back to Brooklyn, of course. They acquired Rich Swann. They got No Way Jose. They got Ember Moon, Nikki Cross. Despite losing 6 of their biggest talents, and also losing, you know, Apollo Crews and Enzo and Cass and Baron Corbin after they got called up to the main roster following WrestleMania, NXT rebounded. Not saying they were in a bad slump, but they bounced back by acquiring more talent, building new stars, and just putting on more great NXT TakeOver specials. They hit the road again for their live tours. They came to my neck of the woods, NXT San Jose, which was an awesome show. NXT once again keeps on moving, keeps on trucking. I don't know what the saying is, but they keep moving forward. They keep moving strongly. They have a ton of momentum behind them. They went to Japan recently and Australia. NXT is on fire. NXT is the premier brand in professional wrestling. Now, Lucha Underground, however, they had quite a year. They had quite a standout year. I'm not necessarily saying they're the promotion of the year, but Lucha Underground had a standout year as well. A great influx of new talent, both veterans and young new faces. A great Ultima Lucha Dos event. 2 great Aztec Warfare matches in the same year. You know, a great season with season 2, and another strong season with season 3 so far. I mean, they even did little, I don't want to call them house shows, but they did 3 separate live events recently. So Lucha Underground is making more noise. They're garnering more attention. They're really making a name for themselves. And I'm going to say this right now. I got a feeling that next year could be Lucha Underground's breakout year where they end up winning promotion of the year. They are on a roll. Their product is hot. They have great talent, great storylines. You know, NXT and Lucha Underground I consider the 2 premier brands in professional wrestling. But NXT this year I felt like just had the better year. But Lucha Underground, I feel like they're a little closer toward that breakout year, which could be next year. But Lucha Underground had a standout year itself. It's continuing to garner attention, garner recognition. But again, NXT, they're just killing it. They're taking professional wrestling by storm. Hashtag we are NXT. Hashtag NXT faithful. Hashtag NXT strong. And even after losing some of their best talents, who I personally think Apollo Crews and Dana Brooke shouldn't have been called up so early. But still, after losing great talent like that, NXT, they managed to rebuild. They managed to build more new talent. They established new young stars, and they just keep delivering a hot product. So kudos to NXT. 2-time winner of the hashtag Robbie1 Award for Promotion of the Year. Joining Melissa Santos is the only other 2-time winner of any respective award. Now we get to the final 3. Here we go. First up, match of the year. The final 3 big categories in this award show. It looks like we might hit the 2-hour mark, so let it be. First up, for the CWC, yes, I'm going to give a Match of the Year award for the CWC because I freaking loved the tournament and I felt like this one match deserved this recognition. For the CWC, the award goes to TJ Perkins versus Kota Ibushi from the CWC Live finale. Like I said earlier, this was an incredible semifinal match with stellar storytelling, athleticism, and emotion. TJP, the beating he took from those kicks from Kota Ibushi, you know, his chest was reddened and swollen. Not swollen, but reddened and scarred. I mean, an awesome match. TJP refused to quit, and he ultimately found a way to beat Kota Ibushi. We did not expect him to make Kota Ibushi tap out. He did. It was just an awesome match. Tons of great matches throughout the year. Tons of great matches throughout the year for the CWC. But the one that deserves the ultimate recognition as the best match of the year, TJP and the Golden Star Kota Ibushi from the CWC Live finale. Like I said, if you have not seen this match, go out of your way to see it. It is an instant classic. It was just freaking up. Incredible. For Lucha Underground, the award goes to Prince Puma versus Rey Mysterio Jr. from Ultima Lucha Dos. To me, this embodied what Lucha Libre was all about. And the match was, the build-up was great. You had Prince Puma, who, you know, after being, you know, robbed of the Trios Championships with Rey and Dragon Azteca Jr., was frustrated. Then, you know, his frustration got to him again in the rematch with the Worldwide Underground where Puma got DQ'd. And, you know, Puma wanted to know if he was better than Rey Mysterio. He wanted to know if he could be the new Rey Mysterio. Rey had to find out if he still is the best and he still is the king. So it was Prince versus King. And part of me wanted Puma to win because if Puma won, he would ultimately become King Puma. And this match was just awesome. It embodied what Lucha Libre was all about. And to me, with, you know, I had no problem with Rey Mysterio Jr. winning this match. I did feel like if Puma won, that would have really benefited him. You know, like I said, he could have become King Puma. Maybe it could have resulted in him, you know, going on an ego trip, or maybe it could have resulted in him letting that win get to him and him becoming cocky and whatnot. But it was still an incredible match. a great way to freaking end Ultima Lucha Dos in terms of matches. That was the best match you could choose for your main event. And with Rey winning the match, that ultimately solidified his comeback in wrestling. And to me, that solidified his grasp on the Lucha Underground comeback of the year, because he just looked stellar in beating Puma. And it was just an awesome match. And even though, like I said, Rey went on to have a few more great matches this year after Ultima Lucha Dos, it was that win alone that, to me, solidified Rey as the Lucha Underground. That, to me, solidified his comeback for 2016, his Lucha Underground comeback of the year. Awesome match. Great way to conclude Ultima Lucha Dos. And like I said, it embodied what Lucha Libre was all about. For NXT, the award for Match of the Year goes to the Revival versus #DIY in a 2 out of 3 falls match from NXT TakeOver Toronto. Before this match, there was one match that set the standard for Match of the Year for NXT, and that was, of course, Nakamura versus Zayn. Then we get to this match in Toronto for the NXT Tag Team Championships. And there was so much riding on the line in this match. There was a lot going into this match. Many questions. Would Revival retain the championships? Would #DIY finally win the big one and finally win the NXT Tag Team Championships? Would Tommaso Ciampa ultimately betray Johnny Gargano if they failed once more? What was going to happen in this match? Great build up to it. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match, and this was one of the best tag team matches I have seen in recent years. One of the best tag team matches I have seen. It had great storytelling, great pacing, great, suspense, drama, moments that had me on the edge of my seat. I will never forget the moment where #DIY hit the Shadow Machine on the Revival, and I remember just screaming out, "Shadow Machine!" in excitement, thinking, oh my God, they're going to beat the Revival with the Shadow Machine, Revival's own finishing move. It was awesome. It was stuff like that that made me say, why can't we get more of this drama and suspense and excitement on the main roster? Granted, stuff they've been doing on Smackdown Live lately has been great. But Revival versus DIY, to me, that's a testament to not only how great DIY is, but how great the Revival is. Even in a losing effort, the Revival still emerged and still came out as one of the, if not the top tag team in NXT. Yes, #DIY, they are the new top guys, but titles or no titles, the Revival, top guys doing top guy things. And then you had the finish, which I thought was the most emotional and emphatic finish I've seen in recent years. Johnny Gargano has Dash Wilder in a crossface. Tommaso Ciampa has Scott Dawson in that inverted armbar of his. Both members of the Revival are in the middle of the ring. Dawson's trying to grab Wilder's hand to prevent him from tapping out. And I think he grabbed the arm or something. I don't know. But in the end, the Revival are in the middle of the ring, trapped, no submissions. Dash Wilder taps out, and #DIY win the NXT Tag Team Championships. The Revival won the titles together, and emphatically in Toronto, they lost them together. Incredible tag team match. Undoubtedly the best tag team match of the year, and truly deserving of the #Robbie1 award for the NXT Match of the Year. And finally, the Match of the Year award for WWE. The award goes to John Cena versus AJ Styles from SummerSlam. I was heavily invested in this match as I was Revival and DIY. A little more for Revival and DIY because of all the drama, but for this match I was heavily invested because to me this was do or die. Either AJ Styles was going to beat John Cena again, or John Cena was going to get his win back and beat AJ Styles. I was very concerned for what was going to happen in this match. Those guys went out there, put on another fantastic match. They topped their Money in the Bank match, which was still an awesome match despite the controversial finish. And in the end, AJ Styles beat John Cena clean. Beat John Cena, for the second time this year. And ultimately, with that win, AJ Styles became the new face that runs the place. A lot of drama in this match, a lot of near falls, great action. You know, Cena hitting the AA, AJ hitting the Styles Clash. And then there was that moment where AJ got hit with the Super AA off the top rope. And I'm thinking, oh, God, John Cena's going to win. There's no way AJ Styles is kicking out of this match. He covers John Cena, or John Cena covers AJ Styles. Excuse me, I can speak English. And AJ Styles kicks out. And I mark out, and I'm like, oh, my God, AJ still has fight left in him. And in the end, AJ Styles counters the AA with a Styles Clash, and then removes his armband, drills Cena with the phenomenal forearm, and scores the 1-2-3 to beat John Cena and ultimately move on to become the WWE World Heavyweight Champion the next month at Backlash. And cap off ultimately was what was a phenomenal year for him in 2016. And then you had that moment of Cena just looking shocked and stunned. He couldn't believe he lost. He takes the armband off. He leaves it in the ring. And there was that question, you know, what's going to happen to Cena next? We knew he was going to take some time off, but where does Cena go from here? Awesome match with an awesome finish. And the right guy went over in this match because I was concerned Cena was going to win. And in the end, AJ Styles from there goes on to win the championship and close his 2016 as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Well, it's now called the WWE Champion, but, I mean, it was called that back then, but whatever. Anyway, AJ won. That's what mattered, and those guys put on an incredible freaking match at SummerSlam. Like I said, it had me on the edge of my seat. And when AJ Styles kicked out of the Super AA, I honestly didn't think it was going to kick out, but when he kicked out, I thought, oh, my God, there is hope. And ultimately, guys, AJ Styles beat John Cena for the second time this year. It was awesome. And now we move on to the main awards, the 2 big awards. Yes, I know I've said the 5 big awards, the 3 big awards, but it's time to recognize the best wrestlers of the year. Let's start off with Women's Wrestler, or in Lucha Underground's case, Luchadora of the year. For WWE, the award goes to Charlotte. I mean, 15-0 in singles matches on pay-per-view. Yes, she did tap out to Sasha Banks in the tag team match at Battleground. So you could say Charlotte is 15-1, but if you're counting singles victories, Charlotte is 15-0. She beat all comers, you know, entered the year as Divas Champion, beat all comers like Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Alicia Fox, Paige, Natalya, Bayley, you know, beat all comers, won the Women's Championship at WrestleMania, won it 3 more times, I believe, this year. Beat Sasha again, beat Sasha a 3rd time, yeah. So, won the Women's Championship a total of 4 times, 3 times from Sasha Banks. But, I mean, Charlotte, not only a great women's wrestler, but a great talker on the mic, too. As a heel, her mic skills have been getting really good. You know, she cut some great heel promos. She's a bully at times. You know, I remember that time she slapped Dana Brooke, and it looked like she was going to make Dana Brooke cry with how hard she slapped her. And we all know Dana Brooke came to her side after that. But still, Charlotte not only was a great women's wrestler this year with all the wins she had and everything, and titles she acquired, but she was also a great heel this year with her mic work and everything that went down. And, you know, while I did say I'm getting sick and tired of Charlotte constantly winning the Raw Women's Championship, especially from Sasha Banks, she's still one of my favorite women's wrestlers. She's awesome. You know, and I'm just gonna say this, and this is not me being bitter. This award should be going to Sasha Banks because this should have been Sasha Banks' year as women's champion. But Charlotte did her thing. She put on some good to great matches throughout the year, especially with Sasha. They had a great series of matches this year. And Charlotte closes the year as the Raw Women's Champion. So, you know, she's the queen. She's the daughter of Ric Flair. You know, she's the master of the figure 8. And she ends 2016 with a #Robbie1 award for Women's Wrestler of the Year. For NXT, and this is no question, no contest, the award goes to the Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka. Freaking badass in the ring, will knock your head off with one of her lethal kicks. She loves a fight. She'll beat you down. She will break you down. She will choke you out. Asuka had a stellar year. You know, beat Bayley for the NXT Women's Championship at NXT TakeOver Dallas. Beat Nia Jax in her first defense at an NXT TakeOver Special and NXT TakeOver The End. Beat Bayley again at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn in a very good Women's Championship match, which was also Bayley's send-off to the main roster. Beat everybody in her path, whether it was Peyton Royce, Billie Kay, Deonna Purrazzo, Liv Morgan, you know, Thea Trinidad, you know, a.k.a. Rosita from TNA, Santana Garrett, whoever it was that got in her way, Asuka beat them. She even beat Mickie James in NXT TakeOver Toronto in a good, solid Women's Championship match. And Mickie James, of course, is no pushover. She's an established veteran, possible Hall of Famer. So, yeah, I mean, Asuka, the future is bright for her. She's closing NXT. Well, she's closing the year as NXT Women's Champion. She'll most likely drop that belt to Ember Moon. But, I mean, who knows? Maybe there's a possibility that Asuka doesn't drop the belt to Ember Moon. Maybe she's just that unstoppable. She's just that damn great, you know? But, like I said, closing the year, closing 2016 as NXT Women's Champion. She's been unstoppable. Bayley and Mickie did take the fight to her, but no one else has come close to beating her in general. Still undefeated, still the Empress of Tomorrow, still the NXT Women's Champion, and proud recipient of the hashtag Robbie1 Award for NXT Women's Wrestler of the Year. And for Lucha Underground Luchadora of the Year, the award goes to Sexy Star. Like I said, you know, with that feud with Marty the Moth and Mariposa, had a great no mas match against Mariposa, overcame her demons, overcame any obstacles, and, you know, went on to win the Gift of the Gods Championship, and ultimately went on to win the Lucha Underground Championship and become the first women's wrestler to do so, the first luchadora to do so in Lucha Underground history. You know, like I said, Sexy Star, beloved in the temple. She's like the Bayley of Lucha Underground, you know, and, you know, beloved by the crowd, by the believers. Great luchadora, will fight anyone, anywhere. Had some great matches this year. Had a great redemption and vindication storyline, like I said, in the feud with Marty the Moth and Mariposa. Did the unthinkable, did the impossible, beat Mil Muertes in the finals of Aztec Warfare 2 to win the Lucha Underground Championship. Yes, she lost it the week later to Johnny Mundo, but still, the fact that she actually won it and is the first woman to ever win the Lucha Underground Championship, when I personally thought it would have been Ivelisse. Awesome. And even though it was a one-week title reign, it still goes to show how respected and appreciated Sexy Star is. And it shows that Lucha Underground is once again breaking barriers with regards to gender. I mean, there are some people that aren't a fan of intergender matches. Recently, they think that, you know, intergender matches should stop. I love Lucha Underground for breaking barriers and for giving men and women equal opportunities like that. And to give Sexy Star a chance to be women's, you know, to be the first female Lucha Underground champion is awesome, you know. And that just capped off what a stellar year she had, despite, like I said, it started off with her being a broken shell of her former self, being traumatized, tortured, everything, and how she overcame those demons and whatnot was awesome. Sexy Star, the Luchadora of the Year for 2016. Felicidades a Sexy Star. You know, one of the greats from Mexico and one of the most beloved in Lucha Underground. And finally, the final Robbie1Kenobi Award for 2016, the Wrestler of the Year. Now, for WWE and NXT, you probably know who they are. No questions asked. No contest. But we're going to start off with Lucha Underground. And the award goes to Johnny Mundo. Now, originally, I was going to give this award to Matanza. Of course, I gave him the Breakout Star of the Year award. Well, not Breakout Star. I gave him the Newcomer of the Year award for how he just steamrolled through all the competition in Lucha Underground since arriving in Aztec Warfare 2. But I'm going to give it to Johnny Mundo simply because I feel like Johnny Mundo had the year that he should have had in the WWE when he eventually became a world champion. You know, he feuded with Cage early on, had a great cage match with Cage, and TN Couponer brought this up. Johnny Mundo has been in all 3 cage matches in Lucha Underground. The cage match with King Cuerno last year in season 1, the steel cage match with Cage in season 2, and most recently the cage match with Sexy Star for the Lucha Underground Championship. But Johnny Mundo has been doing great things as a heel. He went on to win the Lucha Underground Trios Championships with PJ Black and Jack Evans, and they ultimately became the Worldwide Underground. Great trio, and you know, even though they lost the championships to Fire Space and Fury at Ultima Lucha 2, Mundo was determined to win the Lucha Underground Championship. And from the start of season 1, he demanded that Dario Cueto grant him a Lucha Underground Championship match. And Dario didn't do it. So Johnny goes on to win the Gift of the Gods Championship and enter Aztec Warfare number 2 because of how cocky he was and whatnot, saying that even if he doesn't win, he's going to cash that Gift of the Gods Championship in the following week, so he's guaranteed to win the championship. And ultimately, even though he was eliminated from Aztec Warfare 2, the following week, he beats Sexy Star to win the title. And then in the cage match recently, he beats Sexy Star via controversial tactics. He ripped off Sexy Star's mask and caused her to get knocked off the ropes and climbed out of the cage like a smug heel, the smug, cocky, brash heel he is. And he ultimately won the Lucha Underground, retained the Lucha Underground Championship and closes out 2016 as Lucha Underground Champion. So like I said, it was between Matanza and Johnny Mundo, but the more I thought about it, Johnny Mundo, in addition to all the other things he did outside of Lucha Underground, including winning the Lucha World Cup, Johnny Mundo had the year he should have had in the WWE when he eventually got a WWE, when he eventually got a world title push. He was a great heel throughout 2016 on Lucha Underground. One of, if not the best heel in Lucha Underground. He was determined to get a Lucha Underground Championship match. He got the match finally with Sexy Star after winning the Gift of the Gods Championship controversially, and he ultimately won the Lucha Underground Championship. He's a great performer, great wrestler, great heel, did great things. Even if he didn't have many matches throughout the year, if he won some, lost some, I honestly feel like Mundo was the wrestler of the year for 2016 in Lucha Underground. Had the year, like I said, that he should have had in the WWE. I couldn't be happier for him. Great heel, great wrestler, great champion. Congratulations, Johnny Mundo, who I personally met at WrestleCon and was a real nice, cool guy. Congratulations, Johnny, on winning a #Robbie1 award for the Lucha Underground Wrestler of the Year. Now, the 2 awards I didn't give out the last time around, and I don't know why, but we're going to finally give them out. NXT Wrestler of the Year. Like I said, this is no contest. You probably know already who it is. It is Shinsuke Nakamura. The award goes to Nakamura. I mean, what more can I say? Made an impact the first time he appeared on NXT TV. Became a freaking rock star instantly when he made his in-ring debut at NXT TakeOver Dallas against Sami Zayn. Had great matches with the aforementioned Sami Zayn, and Austin Aries, and Samoa Joe, and Finn Balor. Has one of the best theme songs of 2016. Nakamura's freaking awesome. He did big things in that company. His rock star status, like I said, he was a rock star in New Japan, and I felt like in NXT they further elevated that rock star status. Nakamura is just awesome. He's one of my favorites on NXT. I got to experience, his entrance live. It is something you have to actually be in person to truly feel. His entrance is epic. He's a great wrestler. Had great matches. One of the most over stars in NXT. Beloved by the NXT universe, and undoubtedly closing out NXT. Had a stellar year this year. Like his fellow WWE counterpart, who I'm going to be awarding pretty soon. But yeah, Nakamura, standout year in 2016, and the future is only looking bright for him. And I just hope everything goes well for him when he makes it to the main roster. I hope they don't fuck him over. I hope he gets the same rock star status and treatment that he received here on NXT. So, like I said, no contest when it came to this award. NXT Wrestler of the Year, none other than Shinsuke Nakamura. And finally, for WWE Wrestler of the Year, the hashtag Robbie1 award goes to none other than the face that runs the place, the champ that runs the camp, the phenomenal AJ Styles. What more can I say? I mean, like I said in Newcomer of the Year, he had quite a standout 2016. Probably the best first year for any newcomer since Brock Lesnar. Debuts at the Royal Rumble. Last 30 minutes. Of course, he got that outstanding ovation from the crowd. Feuded with Jericho. Feuded with Roman Reigns. Feuded with John Cena. Feuded with Dean Ambrose. Feuded with James Ellsworth, who some of you may be surprised I didn't put him on the Newcomer of the Year award, but I might give Ellsworth a special Best Man with Two Hands award. I don't know. But yeah, AJ had good to great matches with all those people. You know, made an impact at the Royal Rumble with his debut. Won the championship from Ambrose at Backlash. Defended it against Ambrose. Defended it against Cena and Ambrose in a triple threat match. Beat them both on his own. Didn't need a best friend like Chris Jericho to do it for him. You know, even though James Ellsworth assisted him unexpectedly at TLC, AJ's won every championship match and pretty much every match he's been in, except for the Money in the Bank match with Cena on his own. He has been a stellar heel, and he's not your typical chicken shit heel. He gets things done on his own. He's the face that runs the place. He's the champ that runs the camp. And he's still your WWE champion. He's closing out 2016, a phenomenal 2016 as WWE champion. And he is the proud recipient of the WWE Wrestler of the Year award. Congratulations, AJ Styles, on winning the hashtag Robbie1 award for WWE Wrestler of the Year. And congrats again to all the winners of the Robbie1Kenobi year-end awards. It's been a stellar year for WWE, well, for wrestling in general in 2016. An awesome year. You know, WWE had a little bit of a better year than last year, but still could have had an even better year. NXT killed it. Lucha Underground killed it. And yeah, overall, a great year for professional wrestling. And I can only hope that I can only hope that 2017 is a better year for all of professional wrestling. An even better year that we'll be talking about for years to come. So everybody, whether you join me live or you watch this on your own time, thank you for watching and listening. This has been the 2016 Robbie1Kenobi Pro Wrestling Year-End Awards Show, part 2, take 2. All the awards have been handed out. In the comments section below, please leave me your picks for any of these awards. Breakout Star, Newcomer of the Year, Comeback of the Year, Match of the Year, Wrestler of the Year, Promotion of the Year. Leave all your comments down below and your picks as well. As always, make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel for new content, share this video with your friends, share this video to whoever may be making their own 2016 Pro Wrestling Year-End Awards list. If you make your own video, send it to me as a video response, or tweet me at Robbie1Kenobi. Make sure if you tweet me, use the hashtag Robbie1Awards as it's spelled in this video. And with that, guys, if I don't see you in my next video before 2016 comes to a close, I want to wish everyone out there in the YWC, including my friends and subscribers, a very happy new year, a blessed happy new year. May you all have a productive and prospective 2017, and let's hope for some more great wrestling throughout the year. Thank you all for watching and listening. This is Robbie1Kenobi signing out. I just made it to the 2-hour mark, better than 2.5 hours, but thanks, guys, as always, for watching and listening, and I'll see you all later. Everybody have a good day, and like I said, if I don't get a chance to see you before 2017 rings in, everybody have a happy new year, a blessed 2017, and cheers to the future, and cheers to the YWC. Peace.